Hey guys, welcome back to Globe Trekker Gaming. Today we'll be moving on to part 16 of our gameplay of Suzerain. Let's get going. So in the last part, we went over just some of the details of the constitutional reforms that we're going to do, and it seems like a lot of challenges, but overall I think, there's a good plan there, just a lot of people to convince. So yeah, let's move on to the next part and see what we have to do. Just checking to see if there's anything different here on the news. Yeah, nothing that was really, cooperation with Rumberg, an economic imperative. Is Rumberg the one that we're, like, kind of feuding with? Yes, I believe so. Anywho, let's, just go back to Wholesword here and see what's next, then. So, meeting with the Chief Justice. This might be interesting. Sounds like the, with the whole, reform they're trying to do, the Chief Justice is probably going to be opposed to it, so I don't know if this is about that or just something else, or just kind of an introduction, but we'll see. So the administration has been working day and night on the overwhelming amount of issues that we're facing in the country. The department sent several documents which required my signature so they could start working on the new decisions that were taken. After I signed dozens of them, I closed my eyes to relax. Another long day. This is like so, like, I say this, I swear, like every one of these videos, but it's really reading out like a novel the way it goes. So even though I'd really wished to leave the palace for the day, Lucian had earlier told me the Chief Justice wanted to speak to me. We planned to meet in my office for in 30 minutes. I waited for him, wondering what subject he would raise. Pour whiskey, take a moment to relax. Take a moment to relax. You don't have a drink before meeting the Chief Justice. So I stretched out my arms and looked out the window. Thousands of shimmering lights in the Wholesword skyline were mesmerizing. Does it say what the population of Wholesword is? Maybe let's see here. Go to location. 5.2 million. Oh, wow. Okay, so pretty good-sized city there. Return the conversation. All right. I don't know, it's just interesting when it mentions a skyline. I'm like, 5.2 million. It's a good-sized city there. Suddenly, I heard a knock at the door. It was Lucian. Good evening, sir. Good evening, Lucian. I'm sorry I couldn't explain the situation to you in detail earlier. The Chief Justice insisted on seeing you this evening. I do not know what he has to say, but it will probably be about the new Constitution. He will be coming in shortly with Judge Mr. Garassi, Heron Garassi to be specific, to the meeting. We shouldn't take them lightly. I think he's here to test the waters. They're here to threaten us to stop. We may be able to cooperate with them. Regardless of what they say, I will continue. We may be able to cooperate with them, let's just say that. I advise against that, sir. I do not trust the Chief Justice. We should. There were 3 knocks at the door. Oh, probably didn't hear him talking, down about him. Lucian checked his watch, looked rather worried. Livia opened the doors. Chief Justice Orso Hawker and Judge Heron Garassi entered the room. Good evening, Mr. President. It's great to see you. And then just evening. Welcome. I said good to see you, gentlemen. Good to see you indeed. Orso gestured at the sofa in the office. May I? Then, please. We all took our seats on 2 opposite sofas and made ourselves comfortable. How were your first couple of months, Mr. President? I hope you're faring well. It's already been a few months there. It seems like it's been like 5 days, but I suppose, it's meant to be, kind of a, expedited timeline the way this game goes. Thank you. It's been very busy. To be honest, it was a rough start. I'm doing well. No need to worry, or no need for pleasantries. Let's just get to the point. I'm just gonna say no need to worry. That's great to hear, Mr. President. We all think you're doing a great job so far. Considering all that's happening around us, with the shootings in the palace and the soldiers on our borders, it's a troubling time. We appreciate your concerns. So, you probably know why we're here. You're here to bribe me, you're here to stop the Constitution, I'm just gonna say please enlighten us. We know you are working on a new Constitution. The Supreme Court does not approve of this. With all due respect, the Constitution needs to be updated, sir. Is that so? I see that you are the one who's not aware of our actual circumstances. You want to make a weaker Constitution in the midst of problems both inside and outside. Even if your proposal passes the Assembly, I will make sure it will not pass the Supreme Court. You haven't even seen the proposal yet, Mr. Hawker. You came here to threaten us? Come on, Mr. Hawker, we can figure out something out. We'll get the court too, even if you do not cooperate. I'm just gonna say that there. Do you think I live under a rock, Mr. President? I know what goes on. Yet you, Mr. President, seem to be only partially informed about the current situation. Please let us explain the rest of our the reasons of our stance. I believe I'm fully informed. Oh, please explain. Let's hear it. I don't care about your reasons. I'm just gonna let's hear it. See at least what they have to say. We are protecting the Constitution because it works. It is efficient and gives you the authority to lead the nation with swift decisions. Sordland has more important problems and threats that we should face right now. Instead of nitpicking about some paragraphs, we have a potential war within our borders. Orso signaled Heron with his hand to let him speak instead. Mr. President, I know you are a busy man, so we'll make this quick. We all know that Sorder security forces found stashes of Rumburgian weaponry in the hideouts of Blutish separatists. KA-74s. I pointed that out last time. I like also see AK-47s. Are roaming inside Sordland at this moment. As much as Rumburg poses a direct threat, now it's clear that they are also intervening in our country and weaponizing our minorities against us. It's not unprecedented to think that the Bloods will start their terror again with their new toys. Not to mention the fights that broke out between the left and right wing after the shooting. And sadly, we don't see the administration taking the necessary precautions. You said you will not focus on the military. Mr. Hawker, the court has no jurisdiction. We're taking the necessary steps. I did promise, but the circumstances have changed. Tolerate, you should be more careful with your words of choice. I'm just gonna say the court has no jurisdiction, because it's really not. Aren't we all part of the state, Mr. President? But regardless of that, are you also aware that the armed Blutish separatists have direct connections with the Workers' Party of Blutia? Is that in, Oh, it's in Sordland, yeah. I forgot all these regions, too. Like, the regions of the country is all sound the same. Everybody knows that. They claim otherwise. The Workers' Party is a democratic party, unlike the militias. I mean, they're all Bloods. I'm just gonna say they claim otherwise. They may claim that they have no ties, but most of their members used to be part of them before they formed them. How about the name, Mr. President? It is not the Workers' Party of Sordland, is it? As far as I'm aware, there's no nation called Blutia around here. What is this all about? The only reason they are not in the Assembly is because of the electoral threshold. They've gotten quite big. They are clearly getting outside help, and their connections to the paramilitary Blutish force cannot be denied. And all of a sudden, the Reformists are trying to decrease the electoral threshold so that the Blutish separatists can be legitimized. You think that's Mr. Richter's intention? I will not allow it to happen. I'm gonna say that's too dramatic. Say what you will, Mr. President. I'm stating the obvious. I'm still like, I don't know. I feel like overall, like, just changing up to be more equitable will be good. Hopefully, I mean, I could be wrong. Again, this game seems like it's gonna make a lot of things backlash, but I feel like, you know, it's gonna hopefully be a goodwill gesture and then make it so that way they don't need to do all the separatist things and everything because they have equal say. Like, maybe they're wanting to do the whole separation thing because they're not allowed to have an equal say in the government. Like, that's just my thought on this whole thing now. The Reformers' suggested changes would also bring the communists, who are backed by Netta Cantana, into the Assembly. Do you see the pattern yet? I apologize, gentlemen, but I'm not a conspiracy theorist. You're saying the Reformists are working for foreign powers? There are no evidence about any of this, or what's your suggestion? I'm gonna ask that there, at least hear him out on it. We should take the necessary measures against communist and Blutish plots, as well as increasing our military budget. And of course, not fall into the traps of the Reformists by listening to their demands. They are clearly plotting to weaken the president. Which brings us to some very important information that we have. It's definitely something you need to hear. It can change absolutely everything. With all due respect, Mr. President, I think this is getting slightly ridiculous. I'm just gonna ask him to explain. I think he's being a little over the top, and I agree with Lucian, but I want to see what he has to say at least. The person in question is Mr. Franz Richter himself, the leader of the Reformists. Or Richter, excuse me. Oh, he's the PFJP party. We have enough information to infer that he has ties with Arcasia, which I'm on board with there. That's like, basically the US of this world there. Arcasia is aggressively growing in influence around the world, and now we have Mr. Richter coming up with these ridiculous demands for a new constitution. All the pieces seem to fit perfectly. That is why the Supreme Court will be doing what it takes to stop these reforms. How would you know that Mr. Richter has ties? Mr. Galate, we all know he's been in Arcasia many times because it has been documented. See, that's why, I mean, first he's like, oh, it's United Cantana, then he's like, oh, it's Arcasia. I'm like, this guy just seems like he's like throwing out, you know, all sorts of things there. He was hiding his flights? He was. He has been spotted in a hotel in Arcasia last year where they held the Conference on Economic Development in Volatile Regions. His trip was not documented, nor was he an official guest of the conference. Oh, Dwight Walker, yeah. I also have a couple more photos of him that were taken in Arcasia in different cities. He also attended another event in Lesbia last week. The Arcasia Minister of Foreign Affairs was there too. If this is true, this is big. I'm just gonna say, how did you find out? I mean, I know it's trying to show that maybe they're trying to do a lot of influence there, but I think Arcasia is someone we want to be allied with, so... I don't know, it seems like it's overly dramatic at this point. Many Solists were already following his leads for quite some time, Mr. President. I cannot give away their identities. But I can give you the evidence. He handed me a small file. It contained official documents from the Swordish Border Guard with highlighted dates. There were clear photos of him that were taken at the conference in Arcasia, as well as remarks by Lesbian and Arcasian citizens. There was also an official transcript of one of his speeches where he claimed to be in Benfey on the dates of the conference when he was spotted. Lucian skimmed through the document with skepticism, which slowly turned into surprise. They seem to be real. Of course they are real, Mr. Galate. They seem to suggest that Arcasia is behind the reformists. Their demands will only benefit Arcasia. This is clearly a plot against Sordland. I bet Rumburg is part of their plan too. Now that you understand the reasons of our current stance, and also our suspicions about your advisors, who clearly have not given you this information. Lucian gave him... Yeah, Lucian, I know, doesn't appreciate that. So we appreciate the information, Mr. Hawker, but I advise against jumping to conclusions. There's not much to think or check. This is clearly an emergency. In such cases, the Constitution gives the President the right to use his emergency powers. If we work together, you can be sure the Supreme Court will not block your declaration. Yeah, I'm gonna decline that. I really don't see the issue. I'm sure it's probably showing, like, yeah, they're trying to do some influence, but either way, I'm gonna have to decline it. Seems you are influenced by Mr. Galati way more than you think. You can tell why this guy is, like, you know, someone from law and everything, because he's talking about how he's influenced by him and, you know, trying to sway him whatever way. Why don't you explain your agenda yourself, Lucian? You are swaying the President to ignore the threats. I'm not swayed by anyone, Mr. Hawker. This is my own decision. Honestly, I'm not swayed by anyone. Say what you will, history will prove us right, once again. And if you believe you can enact these reforms, you are living a land of dreams. So, sorry to upset you, gentlemen. I'll be civil about it. Even though you are aware of our national security threats, you are making a big mistake. We will not allow you to succeed. I'm just gonna say, gentlemen, I think it's about time to end this meeting. Well, thank you for having us, Mr. President. Have a good evening. They both left the room without saying anything else. That was not good. They clearly tried to threaten you. I'll have to make sure our reforms will pass the court. How dare they talk to me like that? I'm not scared of them. I'm just gonna say we have to make sure. Orsa will be doing whatever it takes to damage you. We need to be careful. There are still many Old Guard sympathizers in our party. We can't let them divide our party. And he will definitely try. After a short evaluation of the situation in our hands, Lucian left me in the presidential office. It was obvious that the Old Guards would try to be my main rivals in the near future. Alright, so yeah, I guess that's gonna end it, or continue. It's gonna be something dramatic here. Trials of Democracy. Guess it's another one of those dramatic transitions here. So yeah, it's hopefully starting to get to some more exciting things there. I think it's gonna be pretty good what goes on here soon. So yeah, thank you guys very much for watching, and stay tuned for part 17 coming up. Thanks again.